and you are still celebrating Sukkot?
Yes, at my son's sukkah, at my son's tabernacle, and the prospective in-laws of my grandson came, and his prospective wife. So very, very nice time, very good time.
Well, I have a joke for you, Avi. You usually have a joke for me, especially with my German lineage, and we have such a great relationship. But it has to do with Sukkot. Do you want to hear it real quick?
Sure.
Well, so we had just started Israel TV Network in 2017, and the leaders, and I should say the owners, they were talking about celebrating Sukkot, and they mentioned, this is a true story. They mentioned that the wind was so high that the sukkah almost blew away. And I was standing there and I said, well, did you sing Hang On Sukkah? Sukkah, hang on.
I missed it. I missed some movie or show,
There's
song or
there,
something.
there's a song from the 60s called Hang On Suki, Suki, Hang On. And
No,
yeah,
it's
they
no.
didn't get it either, but I thought it was I thought it was pretty funny. Well, here we go. Hey, we're live with Israel with the one and only Avi Lipkin, world-renowned speaker, author, theologian, I should say, and Sovietologist as well, and a dear friend. Avi, you're looking well. It's good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. My son made some kosher steaks today on the barbecue and other types of meat, which were kosher. And we had a beer. And I started singing the German song, "In München steht mein Hof, my house, ein, zwei, uva." I pulled that
I don't
off
even know
once.
that song.
There was when I come to the States, I'll have you hear the song. It's very good
Hey,
song.
hey, you know what? You know, when you come to the States, I want to experience what a kosher steak is. You know, and I know we're talking about serious things, but we are friends. And a kosher steak. Now, what makes a steak kosher? Obviously, it's not pork. How's it going there, Aaron?
This is the real boss here.
Good to see you, man.
After my wife, he's the real boss.
My fellow Bon Jovi fan. I assume you're
Yeah,
living on a prayer there, Aaron.
all the time.
All the time. Well, hey, it's good to see your face too. We're actually live right now on so many different platforms, and talking with Avi and the Aaron that you've heard about so many times. That strapping young son. Well, that there he is, right there behind his father. So it's
Hey,
always good.
listen, he's been in uniform for a whole year. That's no
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. Aaron, you know what's happening on the front, my man? You're with us right now.
Well, we're winning.
Yeah.
Biden is not happy.
Well, of course he's not. Well, maybe you should say Obama is not happy. Biden probably doesn't know what day it is, and it's probably nap time shortly before he's awakened for ice cream time, and maybe shuffleboard if you're lucky. But I'm glad you're winning in spite of the ironic double-sided support from our government right now. I voted early. Folks. I voted against communism. I voted against child sex trafficking. I voted against the purge of fighting age men by the millions being courted and funded and brought into our country by this administration. And I also vote against the double-sided stance towards our friends in Israel, our only ally in the Middle East. That's what I voted for, folks. And Trump is the one that's leading the charge for that. So if you can't vote for a person, then vote against communism, vote against World War III, vote against
Brent, you should know that Israel stands behind Trump.
Yeah, they do.
90% of the Israelis believe that Trump is the best president, not just for the United States and the world, but especially for Israel.
There you go, my man. Yep. When he finally did what the others said they would do, but never did. and he moved the embassy to where it needs to be. And so, anyhow, all that to say is, how is the morale of the men with these latest victories, I should say?
Is that for you or for me?
No. We finally got you on the screen.
The morale is very high. People want to finish this once and for all, and they're willing to sacrifice whatever is needed, even their lives, to ensure that their children and grandchildren will live a peaceful life as much as possible in the Middle East for the next generations to come. So they're willing to give whatever is needed to finish our enemies once and for all. And I think that is what we're going to see in the next few months. We're going to see Israel fighting its enemies, fighting the enemies of the Western civilization, and ensuring that Israel will be able to live safely, flourish, and be a light to the nations like we should be. Shalom, Brand.
So be it. So be it. Shalom, my friend. We'll go to a Bon Jovi concert together sometime if he's still singing. If not, we'll go to a tribute concert. So good to see Aaron's face, and Avi. It's always great to see yours. I'm thankful that he was able to pop in just now, and of course, those who love Israel, those who read their Bibles and follow it, they should be excited as well. Netanyahu. What are the latest words from the great leader Netanyahu's mouth?
Well, we have been having this running gun battle between our defense minister and the prime minister. And our defense minister seems to be following orders from Washington. And so he gets a call from Secretary of Defense Austin. I'm going to Washington to meet with Austin. And Netanyahu says, wait a second, are you the prime minister or am I the prime minister? Yeah. Who gave you the permission to go? I'm the prime minister. I have to give you permission. So then it changed, and then it was Biden, and then it was Austin. So there are a lot of players here who are trying to cause Israel to delay the attack on Iran. And so they think that the way to delay the attack on Iran is to call our defense minister over to Washington for consultations. So that's what's dominating the news right now. I would say that the important news since we last met was that Sinwar was eliminated, the arch terrorist in Gaza. We are watching to see the number of Gaza terrorists who are surrendering. Many are surrendering now, and hopefully we'll get our hostages back. Listen, this war could be over in 5 minutes. All Hamas has to do is hand over the terrorists, hand over the hostages, excuse me. They don't want to because they want to make many demands, which they have no right to make, especially after Sinwar has been eliminated. Another thing in Lebanon, our troops are moving north, moving forward towards the Litani River. If we reach the Litani River and then they are still shooting at us, we will proceed to the next river, which is called the Awali River, Nabatia, which is a town north of Metula, which is our northernmost town, is north of the Litani River, halfway to the Awali River. So basically, the final time for reaching the Litani is 3 weeks from now. We're going very slowly, very methodically, destroying terror tunnels, terrorist infrastructure, and trying to do it without loss of human life, either our lives or the villagers who have been told to head north. The Israeli Air Force, with very precise intelligence information, attacked in Beirut centers where the terrorists were hiding their finances. We're talking about $3 billion in finances, which pay the salaries of the terrorists. If you destroy the finances, you basically destroy the capability of the terrorist movement, the Hezbollah, to wage war against us. and then basically the war's over in Gaza, the war's over in Lebanon, and then all we're waiting for is the offensive to knock out Iran. And the thing that it's like I understand why Biden and Kamala are trying to throw a monkey wrench into the Israeli efforts, but still, just think for a moment: if the Iranian regime is toppled because of a revolution of the people, which takes place because Israel took out the oil production and the nuclear facilities and their military. If all this happens, Iran becomes a Western democratic country. And the son of the Shah of Iran is ready to go back and rebuild everything with Israeli help, with American help. The way it is now, the Biden administration is working for a status quo of terrorism. And basically, Iran remains in the Chinese and Russian sphere of influence and cannot join the West. And don't forget, that Iran was part of the West in the Cold War against the Soviet Union. So Israel basically is doing the dirty work for the United States. No appreciation, really. Israel is the great hero here. We are freeing Lebanon from the terrorists, helping Lebanon start a new life, turning it back into the Switzerland of the Middle East. And Gaza, Prime Minister Netanyahu said to the Gazans, he says, this is your opportunity now to free yourself from the shackles of the Hamas, and we will help you to rebuild Gaza. So, and these are decisions that the Gaza Arabs, the Hezbollah people, and Iranians, they will have to make the decision. Do they want to stop with the terrorism and start having a life? So that's what Israel is trying to do.
Well, without foreign wars, you can't launder money. I would say on behalf of this administration, people do what works for them until it doesn't work anymore. And our administration has played both sides. I'm astonished at the resolve in Netanyahu, looking into the faces of all those in the UN who have betrayed Israel, and his resolve and his poise in the face of those, including Kamala, the communist, who've worked so hard against him. You have John Kerry during the Trump years in Iran pretty much having a residency, helping them try to curb UN inspections. But you have to understand, folks, it's this globalist mentality. They don't care about you. They want a whole lot less of you. And understandably, this globalist administration wants a status quo of terror for money laundering and for all the other things that they're benefiting from. My gosh, I hope someday the truth about bin Laden comes out. And that's a whole other set of shows there, isn't it, folks? But all that to say is we rejoice with the victories of Israel. I saw a meme the other day, over 11,000 rockets were launched at England. And yet Winston Churchill was considered a hero when he retaliated. But over 32,000 rockets or even more launched at Israel. And that makes Netanyahu something else for retaliating, for protecting his country. My gosh, folks, where do we live? But people do what works for them until it doesn't work anymore. If you can rape and torture and pillage and kill children and get paid millions from the U.S. for it, well, then why ever stop? You take some hostages, get millions to calm down, and then do it in a few more years. Hey, what a deal. Well, that needs to stop. We need true leadership. We need righteous leadership. And we need you, folks, that say you believe the Bible, to stand and pray for the peace of Israel. And one of the ways you can do that is by praying and by voting for leadership that is friendly to the apple of God's eye. Another way is to go to biblicalalliance.com. Biblicalalliance.com. Avi, the Lord has sustained you, not having been able to come to the United States during the war. I was able to go to a Chase Bank and make a direct deposit for Avi Lipkin. It's not that hard, folks. And if you're watching this on one of my platforms, you can message me about that. But go to biblicalalliance.com or go to a Chase Bank and Dennis Avi Lipkin. Of course, we can put you in touch with Avi as well. But again, Avi, I am hopeful that we have a chance to get real leadership from a businessman, not from a politician who's never worked a day in their lives, but a businessman who recognizes Israel and who will act accordingly to our biblical mandate to pray for the peace of Israel and to love the apple of God's eye.
Amen.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to add another thing you mentioned about Churchill. Churchill was vilified by Lord Halifax and by Prime Minister Chamberlain when he attacked the very essence of Nazism in Europe. And there were many English people who were pro-Nazi. And Churchill said, no, this is going to be a world war. And everyone said that Churchill should be put up against the wall and shot for criticizing Hitler. And then finally, when the war broke out, everybody had to apologize with mud on their faces that they were wrong. And the same with Netanyahu. The left-wing opposition is constantly attacking Netanyahu that he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. And it turns out he's right, he's right, he's right. And so a very, very wonderful leader. And I say this again and again, that Netanyahu is the best prime minister Israel has ever had. He is the right man in the right place at the right time. And you know what? I would say the same about President Trump. He was the right man in the right place at the right time. I believe definitely that the elections were stolen. And I'm very fearful that they will be stolen again, even though I believe this time, according to the polls in Israel that we have received from the U.S., the advantage of Trump over Kamala is 60-40. So it seems that Trump has a very much better edge over Kamala on the election count.
Well, all eyes are on the battleground states. It's a shame. Some may wonder why even vote when it all comes down to 7 states anyway. But we know that you should vote, folks. And I did. My conscience is clear. There's no blood on my hands. I voted. For God's sake, Americans, vote. 34 million evangelicals didn't. And 10 million already even registered. So I'm watching. A lot of us are watching. We're also watching the pastors too. We're grateful for the true watchmen on the wall. Or we're watching those who fall down on their duty too. We're watching you. You can be sure of that. This is a time to stand together, stand for righteousness. Doesn't matter if you lose tithers. Don't dance with the devil. Live according to that book that you make a living preaching out of. And for those who are true pastors, we applaud you. We appreciate you leading the flock correctly in the right direction. You know, when I was producing news coming out of persecuted China, a common complaint was our pastors did not warn us. They again, when you bring money into the mix, you have to be very careful not to speak what itching ears want to hear, but to speak the truth in season and out of season. We're so grateful for those pastors that do. And for those who don't, we're watching you. So it's time to come together, folks. Vote. Use that right you got while you have it. There's a lot of countries who don't have it, you know, and you can pass them around memes all day long of persecution and communism, but you got to remember those people voted their freedoms away, falling for the same tactics that the left, the communists are propagating. So pay attention to who stands up for Israel. Pay attention who protects women and children. Pay attention who protects the freedom of religion. Pay attention for those who oppose suppression and censorship. Pay attention to those who pray for the peace of Israel. You know, we got to see, I'm very fortunate that we had Aaron pop in, and the morale of the men and the hope of the men. You know, in the absence of leadership, there is a global vacuum. I mean, gosh, Look at the headlines that are ignoring Israel right now. China's doing drills on the closest island closest to Taiwan. You know, my gosh, in a way, maybe you'll agree with this, maybe you won't, Avi, but it seems to me that the whole world is kind of hoping that Trump will be president because there's a balance there when there is strength, and even those who hate us, a part of them secretly admire us, our freedom and our strength and resolve. But my goodness, in the leadership vacuum, it almost seems like the morale of all are much lower. I don't know. It's hard to know. I saw a quote the other day. Believe nothing you see and half of what you hear. Well, you can't believe anything you see or hear in the mainstream media now. You can believe this. You don't see a sponsor on this show, and we're not being paid to tell you the truth. We're just telling you the truth at risk, but we tell you the truth anyway. Avi, what's the biggest misconception in the eyes of the average American in regards to what's really happening in the Middle East? With Israel. I mean, there's a lot of voices out there. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions about Israel?
I think the biggest misconception is when Kamala Harris says that Israel is guilty of the genocide against the Palestinians.
Yeah.
This has been refuted even by the United Nations. Right. The problem with Kamala Harris is she's very shallow. She does not have the proper training or, how shall I say, ideological upbringing to understand the truth of the Bible, the truth of Israel, that what we are doing is merely defending ourselves from a satanic enemy. And what she's doing is she's supporting the satanic enemy of Islam. Her closest advisors are Hamas people. So I think that America needs to pray very, very hard about who is Kamala Harris and who is President Trump. President Trump is only a human being like anyone else. He's guilty of whatever he's guilty. Every human being is guilty of different things. But as a president, he's the best. And actually, in these elections, he's the only realistic candidate for America. So, and that's what Israel is praying for also, a real president.
Well, it's already been proven. Look what happened to our economy immediately when Trump took office, and even the stock market. Then look what happened to our economy on day one when Biden assaulted the middle class, killing the Keystone Pipeline and putting us right back into dependency of our enemies and taking broke Iran and making them rich again to fund terror all over the world. Someone needs to talk about that. Or Kamala being, pushed by Barack Obama. That boy lover left his 4 mansions to lecture black men. But do black men understand that Kamala held black men in prison past their terms for free labor? Some would call that a slave master. Oh, but we can't talk about that. Well, yeah, we can. Wake up. And I think the black community is waking up. But those who are paid to vote for a living, well, don't expect common sense to take hold. They're paid to vote, and you will not change their minds. But my applause to the black community that are finally realizing that the party of Native American genocide, the party of the KKK, the party of black genocide, the party of Jim Crow laws, that's the party of the slave masters who want your vote. And they think that photo ops and campaign slogans will erase true genocide. You won't find a 3,000-year-old coin of America, but you will find that in Israel. There is no occupation when Israel has been and will be. So I marvel at the resolve of Israelis, how careful they are to do the best they can as they find an enemy that puts children in front of themselves. The enemy hides behind children, hides behind the innocent, hides behind the weak, and rejoices at their deaths. It's part of their ideology. And yet the bad guy is the one that's protecting their own country. What an upside down world we have. That's why we need to get right side up. Find your true north. and seek out the God of Israel. And so we're grateful for you, Avi.
Thank you.
Again, we want to see you soon. I'm looking forward to seeing what Netanyahu says next.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the media roars on with anything but the truth. And but you can get the truth with Avi, biblicalalliance.com. You can also contact him through his website. If you want the true news, what's happening on the ground, not only from Avi Lipkin, but also a member of the IDF, well, you can do a Zoom call, a live Zoom call, maybe even during one of your services. But please, respectfully make it worth his while, because he's making a stance. We find ourselves lonely people, Avi, when we stand for truth and we speak the truth, and nobody owns us. Avi knows what it's like to be in opposition to the socialist communist people in his own country.
Right.
But he is surely embraced by those of us in America that love him. And Avi, you're a Jew. I'm a follower of Jesus, but you and I are dear brothers, and we love each other, and we're grateful for you, Avi. What can the church do? What can the acting church do right now?
Well, I would say in the next 2 weeks, get the vote out. Make sure all church members get the alternative media on the internet and study, because the wrong mistakes are made for out of ignorance. And if people like if Kamala really knew what was going on with Israel, maybe she could be fixed. But she's surrounded by anti-Christian and anti-Semitic advisors who will never let her know the truth.
Well, Kamala was not raised in a middle-class family. She was raised in a well-to-do family. She's not black. She's not even half black. And she slept her way to the top. She contributed to a lot of black fathers being put away and held longer than they should have been. And her father, a professor, actually wrote a book on communism. So, folks, know what you're dealing with, and don't be gullible. Don't be ignorant. Don't be sheep. Use your mind. Expand your understanding. Recognize historical patterns, and avoid them for the future. America still has a chance to be a beacon of freedom and light. It's interesting, Avi, we have more missionaries being sent to America than I think America has missionaries being sent out to other countries now.
And there are more Muslim missionaries. More Muslim missionaries come to America than America is sending out.
Well, Obama was busting in 1,200 Muslim Somalis every single night. A friend of mine saw that with his own eyes coming through St. Louis, Missouri. And then that gave us Omar. Can you imagine an Omar in every state? Well, that's what Obama wants. Is that what you want? If you think Kamala or Joe are running the show, it's Obama. And no one seems to be surprised at that. But some way, somehow, people still like playing the game. Well, there may be a time when you don't have an option to vote, folks, where you don't have freedom of speech, where you don't have the freedom to protect yourselves, where you voted away your freedom like the other nations have. And only through bloodshed we're able to reclaim any kind of freedom they had before. Use the freedom you have. Don't neglect it. Don't make voting just something that you get around to. Vote early. The best way to bypass midnight, 4 a.m. Ballots is to vote early. It does count in real time. If you're told that it doesn't, you've been lied to. It counts in real time. Doesn't go to Spain and other places, then to the District of Columbia, which isn't even a part of America. Did you know that? Why do they hold such power and authority when they're not even, when they're their own sovereign country? Do some homework, read a book, and vote, for God's sake, and vote for the peace of Israel, and for your sake and your children and your children's children. Abba, we pray a blessing on you to 1,000 generations, that the Lord go before you and behind you and within you and around you, like that popular song says, the blessing. And We love you. We're grateful for you, Avi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Anytime. Thank you.
Go vote, folks. A vote for the right is a vote for Israel. It's a vote for freedom. It's a vote for your family. God bless you.